Your cat is on the counter. There's a glass next to them. They look at you. They look at the glass. They look back at you. They put their paw on the glass and push it off the edge. And you just stood there and watched it happen. This is one of the most iconic cat behaviors in existence, and it generates equal amounts of amusement and genuine exasperation from every cat owner who's experienced it. But here's what almost no one ever actually explains. Why? Not in a general way, but specifically, what is happening in your cat's brain when they do this? The answer involves predatory instinct, deliberate social strategy, physics testing, and something about your cat's intelligence that most owners significantly underestimate. And the last reason on this list, the one about what your cat has learned about you specifically, is the part that should make you rethink the whole thing. 1. They are testing whether the object is alive. The first and most fundamental reason cats knock things over is predatory assessment. Cats are hardwired hunters, and a significant part of hunting involves determining whether something is worth pursuing, whether it's alive, whether it's prey, whether it poses a risk. The tool they use for this testing is their paw. Before a cat commits to a full pounce, they extend a paw and make contact with the target. They feel whether it moves, how it moves, whether it reacts. A live mouse that gets tapped will either freeze or bolt. Both responses reveal information. An object that doesn't move confirms it's not prey. An object that moves in an interesting and unpredictable way, which when pushed off a surface, most objects do, gets more investigation. The items cats most consistently push off edges tend to be the ones with interesting movement properties: pens that roll, glasses with liquid that sloshes, small containers that spin on impact. These items, when disturbed, produce the kind of variable, unpredictable movement that the predatory brain is specifically tuned to find interesting. Your cat pushing your phone off your desk is, at its most basic level, a hunting behavior. They're assessing. The problem is you keep putting more things on the desk. 2. They're checking their physics model of the world. Cats are far more cognitively sophisticated than most people give them credit for, and one of the things they do continuously, particularly young cats, is test their understanding of how the physical world works. Object permanence, cause and effect, the predictability of physics. These are things cats develop an understanding of through active experimentation. Watching an object fall isn't just play, it's learning. The arc of the fall, the sound of impact, the way different objects behave differently. This is information their brain is actively collecting and categorizing. Studies on animal cognition have found that cats have a working understanding of basic physical principles that is more sophisticated than their reputation suggests. They use this understanding in hunting, predicting where a prey animal will emerge, anticipating movement trajectories, calculating pounce angles. The experimentation on your coffee table is the training ground. This explains why young cats do this far more than older cats in most households. The physics model is being built. Once it's established, once they've fallen objects off every surface in your home and cataloged the results, the behavior often reduces on its own. They've gotten what they needed from it. 3. They discovered it works on you. Here's where things get interesting and where your cat's intelligence becomes directly relevant to your daily life. At some point, and there is always a first time, your cat pushed something off a surface and you reacted. You looked up. You made a sound. You stood up. You came over. You said their name. You engaged. And your cat's brain did what mammal brains do when a behavior produces a result. It filed that result away. Cats are exceptional operant learners. They learn rapidly and with high retention that specific actions produce specific outcomes. The more reliably a behavior produces an outcome, the more firmly it becomes part of the cat's behavioral toolkit. If getting your attention is something your cat wants, and for most cats it is, and pushing something off the table gets your attention reliably, then pushing things off the table is now an attention-getting strategy. This is deliberate. Your cat isn't confused about cause and effect. They know exactly what the behavior produces. The look they give you before pushing the item, that slow, direct, sustained gaze, is not coincidental. They're making sure the action is witnessed. An unobserved falling glass doesn't serve the purpose. Subscribe here, because what comes next reveals something about your cat that most people genuinely don't expect. 4. They're telling you something about their environment. When a cat pushes things off surfaces compulsively, not just occasionally but repeatedly, throughout the day from multiple locations, there's often an underlying communication that gets completely missed. Cats who knock things over at high frequency are usually understimulated. Cats are built around a hunting sequence that needs to activate several times a day. Stalk, chase, pounce, catch, kill, eat. This cycle, when it runs, is deeply satisfying to their nervous system. When it can't run, because there's no prey, no interactive play, nothing that activates the sequence, the hunting instinct finds outlets. And one of the easiest outlets available in a typical home is objects on elevated surfaces. The behavior spikes in the morning and evening, the times that correspond to crepuscular hunting activity, because that's when the drive is highest. If your cat is most aggressively destructive with your belongings at dawn or dusk, you're watching the hunting drive express itself through the nearest available avenue. This is a signal, not a personality flaw. A cat who knocks things over frequently is a cat who needs more engagement, more interactive play, more opportunities to run the hunting cycle to completion. 10 to 15 minutes of focused, prey-mimicking play twice a day reduces this behavior more reliably than any amount of redirection or removing items from surfaces. 5. Some cats do it specifically when they feel ignored. There's a version of this behavior that is distinctly social in its motivation, and owners who observe it carefully recognize the pattern immediately. You're on your phone, you're at your computer, you're talking to someone, you're doing something that has fully pulled your attention away from your cat for longer than they've decided is acceptable, and your cat walks directly to the nearest elevated surface with something on it, sometimes even something they've never touched before, and they push it off. Not as an accident, not while playing, with deliberate, visible intent, often accompanied by sustained eye contact. This specific version of the behavior is attention solicitation, and it's remarkably sophisticated. Your cat has not only learned that this behavior produces attention, but has learned to deploy it in specific conditions. Conditions characterized by your unavailability in order to produce the specific outcome they want. This is a cat who has modeled your behavior, identified the condition under which attention is unavailable, and devised a targeted strategy for changing that condition. That's not mindless activity. That's problem solving. Whether you find it endearing or maddening, likely depends on whether you're the one cleaning up the mess, but it's worth recognizing it for what it is. 6. The gaze before the push, what it means. Let's go back to the look. When a cat makes eye contact with you, then moves their paw to an item and watches to confirm you're watching before making contact, this sequence has a specific structure. It's not haphazard, it's a deliberate communication attempt. Among cats, sustained gaze before an action is an attention-checking behavior. In multi-cat households, cats look at each other before initiating play, before making a resource move, before doing something they want witnessed. The gaze is a social precursor. It verifies that the audience is present. When your cat looks at you before pushing something off the table, they're checking that the action will be received. They want the response, not just the physics event. A glass falling when you're out of the room produces no useful outcome for them. The same glass falling while you watch produces exactly the social result they were looking for. This is why ignoring the behavior, which is often recommended, can be difficult to sustain. Your cat is quite literally checking to confirm you're watching before they act. The moment you look up, the condition for the action is met. 7. What to actually do about it. Understanding why doesn't make the glass any less broken. So here's what works. Removing objects from surfaces eliminates the immediate trigger, but it doesn't address the underlying drive. A cat with unmet stimulation needs will find another outlet for those needs. Management of surfaces without addressing the root cause is a permanent, escalating effort. Redirecting the behavior into appropriate hunting activity is more effective and more sustainable. Before the times when the behavior typically peaks, morning and evening, offer 10 to 15 minutes of interactive play with a toy that mimics prey movement. A wand toy, a feather that moves unpredictably, something that can be stalked and pounced on. Let them complete the full hunting sequence. Let them catch the toy, grip it, kick it with their back legs. Experience the satisfaction of a successful hunt. Then offer a small treat to simulate the eating phase. Cats who have this, provided consistently show dramatic reductions in table-clearing behavior within 2 to 3 weeks. Not because they've been corrected, but because the drive that was redirecting itself through your belongings has found its appropriate channel. Your cat, knocking things off tables, is not spite. It's not malice. It's not stupidity. It is a predatory brain, an intelligent mind, and a social creature using the tools available to them to do what they are fundamentally built to do. Give them a better option, and watch the glass stay on the table. Subscribe if you want to understand your cat, not just manage them.